Hey guys, it's Happy Dude, and now that my PC is finally done and the water cooling is built in, it's time to overclock it. The motherboard is a gigabyte aurus Ultra, the CPU is a 3700X Ryzen, the graphics card is a 1080 Ti. And I'm using G.Skill Royale 16GB as memory. Stock it's 2100 MHz, but we can overclock it up to 3600. And for storage, I'm using a M.2 drive with 1 TB. So we are going to overclock everything: GPU, CPU, RAM memory, and adjusting the timings. Okay, let's see what the original score in Cinebench R15 is. And it's 2075. And this is my score in 3D Mark Time Spy without the overclock. Okay, let's see how much FPS we are getting. Now the FPS is lower now because I'm screen recording. About an average of 40. Okay. Okay, as you can see, everything is still stock. And also precision boost overdrive is disabled. And now I'm going to enable it and see what kind of scores this gives me. Okay, now let's see if the score is better or worse with automatically overclocking. And after that, I'm going to enable XMP profile, and then I'm going to manually overclock everything. And the score is about the same. Okay, now I'm going to enable the extreme memory profile, that's for the RAM. Also an automatic profile. And now the RAM memory is at 3600 MHz instead of 2200. Save and exit. Okay, now let's see what kind of score we get with the automatic overclock and the XMP profile enabled. Wow, 2122. Okay, now let's try to beat that with manual overclocking. Okay, now let's disable everything. Also XMP profile. And now let's do everything manual. I've done a lot of testing to see what is stable, and I can do it until 42. Everything above will crash. And then the CPU is 1.3 volts. Okay, let's save and exit. So the best way to test your CPU overclock is with Prime 95. Just go to options and run a torture test, and if you can do this for 15 minutes, the overclock is pretty safe. If it's not stable, this will crash within the minute. Now, if you really want to test it if it's very stable, it's best to run it more than an hour. Also, while you are doing this, check the temps and the voltage with CPU Z. That's another program. Okay, now let's overclock the RAM memory. First the multiplier. 36 is the maximum. Now the voltage, the RAM. I have already tested everything. 1.35 should be stable. Now advanced memory settings, and I'm also going to change the sub-timings. These are the sub-timings that I have used and are very stable. 15, 15, 15, 15, and 30. Okay, now the timings are tighter. Let's save and quit. Yes. And the new score is 2198 with my manual overclock of the RAM and the CPU. So automatic overclock, boost drive and XMP profile is all disabled. So the best way to test your RAM memory overclock is first do it with memtest64. Just click begin test. This won't take long. Now if you have passed that test, then you can do memtest86. This takes a few hours. This will create and write an image onto a USB drive, and then you can do a RAM test in the BIOS. Okay, as you can see, the FPS is higher now. And the reason I prefer a manual overclock is because the clock speed goes up and down, and the voltage also, and it goes way too high, the voltage. And that's not that good for your CPU. Okay, now we are going to overclock the GPU. Okay, to overclock the GPU, I'm going to use Red Dead Redemption 2 because in Assassin's Creed Odyssey the overclock didn't work that well. That's because the game prefers the CPU cores above the GPU. But I know this game relies on GPU power, because look at the CPU, it's almost doing nothing. That's because this game is very bad optimized, in my opinion. Okay, so let's take Msi Afterburner. You can do this in game. First, power limit to the maximum, core clock plus 100. I've already tested these numbers and they are stable. 500 and apply. Now watch the FPS. You see, it goes up. and I can also see in the movement of the camera that it is much smoother and more consistent also. And this is my final score in Cinebench R15, 2213, without any apps, software or my screen recorder in the background. Here was my old score in 3D Mark TimeSpy, and here are the new scores. As you can see, a big improvement. Okay guys, that was everything I've wanted to show you. If you liked the video, please give me a like and maybe subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.